Good morning, everybody. As usual, I'll try to do this pretty quick, but it usually ends up being, 17 to 20 minutes anyway. I'll try to be a little bit more lively this morning. Haven't had coffee yet. Just got out of bed about 20 minutes ago. Work from home day, so tired, lazy, and just gonna struggle through this as I always do. So, last week brought me my first losing prediction week of the year. All thanks to Monday Night Football. Yeah. Also hurt my Matt and Mickey because they ended up losing. I think Matt needed like 2.5 points or something like that from, basically needed only 2.5 points from Mike Williams. Or he needed like one, or not even that. Yeah, I think he needed one catch for like 15 yards or two catches for 4 yards, something like that. He ended up getting one catch for 11 yards, only 2.1 points, and he lost by 0.24 points. Something small and stupid like that. So he ended up losing by, if you want to break it out, like any catch by any of his receivers, a 3-yard run, 7-yard pass, whatever you want to break it down to, that's what he lost by. That sucks. Not even a stat correction that he had the win taken away from him like Mickey. So the two people that lost, the closest games are hopefully are already done because those are heartbreakers. A stat correction to lose in week one, and then losing by less than 0.3 point to then bring Matt to 1-3. So that also was a big buzzkill because he thought of it as an easier matchup week because of who he was up against. But hey, it is what it is. You got to win each week, or again, it's not who you play, it's when you play him. So, Jess got the win. But before I go with that, again, I only went 2-3 last week, so now I'm 12-8 overall. Who else did people pick up? Injuries and trades across the league, blah, blah, blah. Again, not our fantasy league, but the NFL. Also wanted to recap that, that fun Sunday night game. Brady versus the Pats. The Buccaneers versus the Pats. So let me just go into that real quick because I don't even know if they mentioned this over sports radio, that as good as a fantasy game as Ryan Suckup had, him missing that field goal like in the first half could have actually won them the game, because if they were up by what were the Pats ended up losing by 2. So if the Pats were down by 5, they wouldn't be going for the field goal. But Belichick would have had to have gone for it on 4th and 2, 4th and 3, whatever it was. And Mac Jones had just completed 19 in a row. Yes, the pass got batted down, so that ended his consecutive, streak there. But again, give him the ball. It's 4th and 2, 4th and 3. Your kicker had only, like, his career long was 55 or 56, and you're asking him, years older, to then kick another game-winning 56-yard field goal in not so great conditions. It was sloppy out. The rain was coming down all game. So, I do back Belichick by doing it because it was, it wasn't like he had to call a timeout and think of, what's going to give me the most, fantasy credit or fan credit. Is everyone going to be yelled at? Like, as soon as it was 4th down, he sent out the field goal team. So I back him for making the decision. But, hindsight being 2020, obviously now we wish he went for it because you couldn't lose the game by, he ended up losing the game by mixing the kick. Who knows what would have happened if he had gone for it. So, again, that's hindsight being 2020. But overall, it was a fun game to watch. It was also my birthday. So, as much as the Pats lost and I would have liked them to win, I did bet against them. So I did I did make some money there because that was the last game of a cheap little parlay bet that I did. So if you want it, I bet like $10 to win 36. So yippee, I made $26 over the weekend. All right, so quick breakdown from last week. Scoreboard, let me do this. Week 4. Start with me. I took down Stevens. Again, huge game out of Tyreek Hill. He was, I think, the biggest point scorer of the week. Yes, 47.6. Also, Saquon Barkley getting that game-winning touchdown in overtime got him almost up to 30. And then again, I started Stafford over Dak Prescott, so Stafford got me 23.3. But if I did start Dak, I would have gotten high score for the week. So you're welcome, Jay. Not that I gave you the win, but I gave you, free money for the week for getting high score. So 161.3 to Stevens 112.5. Matchup number 2. I'm trying to remember what was the matchup of the week. Okay. Matchup number 2, Brian took down Joe Sherblum. Foley wins again, but again, huge game out of Pat Mahomes, 40.7, Derrick Henry 25.7, and my be all end all that I usually say for you guys is getting that third player, from 17 to 20 points is basically the reason why almost everyone won or lost this week. The one that really hurts is the next matchup I'll go over, but so be it. So Mahomes with 40.7, Derrick Henry 25.7, Chase Edmonds just under 18 points, whereas Joe's number 3 scorer was Darren Waller at only 15. So Joe ended up losing by 31, almost 32 points to Brian. Good job there, Brian. Me and you I won't even go too far. Let me just continue on with the last week's scores. Jay took down John. No, Jay took down Rafi. I keep getting, because they both have green freaking helmets and as their icons, and it messes me up from time to time. I gotta remember that. Yeah, Rafi's team name, his abbreviation is Gay, and John's is Page. That's pretty easy to know that John's team would be the abbreviation of Page, because that's his last name. So mind blown. All right. Yes, matchup number 3, which was, by the overall points, was definitely the matchup of the week, but it was not the game that I picked as the matchup of the week. So, again, I picked this one wrong. Jay took down Rafi in a very good matchup, high scoring, 165.4 to basically 162. Deebo Samuel looks like, almost every other week or, 2 out of 3 weeks, he's having huge games. 35.7 points. Buffalo's defense, holy shit, 27 points. Well, they have back-to-back shutouts, Miami and Houston, I think, if I'm remembering correctly. I don't know if they shut out Miami, but I think they did. So that's huge for them, back-to-back shutout weeks. That's great. And then, your number 3 scorer at 25 points was Aaron Rodgers, your quarterback, so usually you expect him to be in top 2 scorer. But when your defense gets 27 points and your wide receiver in your flex position gets almost 36, then you're sitting pretty. Rafi was paced by DJ Moore, his receivers, DJ Moore and Terry McLaurin, both over 30, and then Jalen Hurts just under 30. But again, 162 points to lose, that hurts. That hurts. So I feel for you there, Rafi. Next matchup, the Florida battle, which came down to 0.24 points. Jess took down Matt. And again, it was 118 to basically 118. It was 118.08 to 117.84. So these were numbers 4 and 5 of the low scores of the week. And again, hold on. 1, 2, 3. No, this was basically the 2 middle of the road teams, number 5 and number 6. So you would expect almost both of them to lose, but one of them got a win and ended up being Jess. Justin Herbert, 25 points. Zeke Elliott, 20. Jamar Chase, our number 3 scorer, only got 13.7. But my brother didn't really have anyone have a big game. Jared Cook, his tight end, ended up doing pretty well, 19 points. Coin flipping on who he plays in his wide receiver positions. None of them were in his highest scores of the week. Lamar Jackson, 18.5, James Robinson, 20.5. So again, just not enough. Again, 7 yards would have won it for you. Matchup of the week, which I got wrong. John ended up beating Mickey. So again, John's gravy train kind of continued on because Mickey didn't get it done Monday night. I forget who he had, or he had to prevent Austin Eckler from having the game that he had. But again, that didn't happen. Austin Eckler, 29.5 points. Russell Wilson, 23.5. Jacoby Myers, good job picking him up and playing him. 16.8 points for John, and that was enough to win 116 to 95.5. Josh Allen did well for Mickey. Everybody else pretty much just all underperformed. So let's go into whoever people picked up this week, which I wrote down real quick, so I'm not going to change screens. I will just zoom into this week. Okay. So I'd say best value pickup of the year, just because he's going to be a starter for the next 4 or 5 weeks or so, maybe even longer, depending on what happens with David Montgomery. Matt picked up Damian Williams for $3. I purposely didn't even bid on him because I thought it was going to go for like 15 to 20. He got him for $3. And again, he's going to be a starter for 4 or 5 weeks, again, as long as he stays healthy. You know, who knows what's going to happen with Chicago's offense. They're going forward with Justin Fields as a quarterback. They got a win last week, so, maybe they're not going to be a high-scoring offense, but, again, you're getting yourself a RB1 for the team, and for his team, he's probably as of right now, he's probably his number 2. Let me click into his matchup real quick just to see if I'm even right. And why is this doing this? I could not get the matchups to load yesterday, and I still can't get them to load today. Unless you click into matchup instead of box score. Well, that sucks, because now you guys have to listen to this silly content, and I will hit mute. Okay. But yeah, before I look at that matchup, Matt also picked up Latavius Murray. Baltimore's running backs, I don't even want any of them on my team, but he picked him up for $3. Again, he's going to be a touchdown-dependent player. And Jamison Crowder from the Jets, wide receiver, for $1. Brian added Dawson Knox and the Pats defense, both for $2. And John added Matt Prater for $1. Picked up a kicker for $1. Really wanted him to spend $1 on him. Again, it's only $1. Who really cares? But unless the name is Justin Tucker, Harrison Butker, that's basically it. I'm not spending $1 on a kicker. Like, whoever's available on my kickers by week, that's who I'll pick up after the waiver wire. But that's just me. So going through the overall waiver wires, or fairy dust money that we have for the year. Jess, Raffy, Jay, and Stevens, all with their full piggy bank of $100. John and Joe are at the lowest with 71 and 79 respectively. So no one's really spent a lot. We're at the quarter mark of the season right now, although there's 18 weeks. We're going into week 5, but 4 games out of the way, leaving 13 games for everybody else in the NFL. But so everyone's kind of kept their money for now, and we'll see if there's any big name injuries coming up soon. We'll see. So what else did I have? Overall scores for the week. So standings, there's 4 teams at 3-1, 4 teams at 1-3, 2 teams in the middle at 2-2. I'd say that's about as parity as you can have, as much parity as you can have in a league. You could be in last place, and again, you're only 2 games away. Yes, we're only 4 games into the season, but you're 2 games away from being, you're really 1 game away from possibly being a playoff team. You're 2 games away from being in the top 3 possibly. So that's that's pretty good right there. That speaks to how people drafted. That speaks to how maybe even fun it's been to watch the games, because not everyone's going on. There's not one clear team. There's not one. No, there still is one clear bottom team, but we'll leave her alone for now. Yeah. Brian and Raffy, top 2 scorers overalls. They both scored over 580 points through the season. John and Jess are the bottom 2. Even though John is 3-1, lucky bastard, they both haven't even scored 440 points yet. So keep scoring low points. Hopefully, you both lose. But I'm not playing against either one of you this week, so maybe I hope you both win. So, matchups this week. One of the ones that I thought of making for matchup of the week, but I did not, is Brian versus Jay. And simple enough. I'm just going with Brian here. You know, simply based on matchups, Pat Mahomes at home Sunday night against Buffalo. It's going to be a shootout, I think, at least, even though Buffalo's defense has played remarkably well. You don't really ever see yourself in a defensive showdown with, Pat Mahomes on the other end of the field. So that, I'm assuming, will be a high-scoring game. And basically just, like, Brian doesn't even need a tight end. He's got Gronk, doubtful still for a week or two. Darrell Henderson you have on your bench, but that's because you have Chase Edmonds. Again, that game should be a shootout, Arizona and San Fran. So, yeah, I mean, Amari Cooper, Deebo Samuel, Robert Woods on the other end for Jay. So you got some stud receivers there, but I'm just not. I'm sorry. I'm going with Brian. Going with Brian by a cool dozen. That's what I'm going with. Brian by 12. Brian by 12. Writing it down. Brian 3-1. That would bring you up to 4-1. Jay 2-2. That would bring you down to 2-3. John versus Joe. Two teams that I think their records could possibly easily be flip-flopped. John at 3-1, Joe at 1-3. And just based on how I just said that, their records could be flip-flopped if Julio Jones plays this week, and plays, somewhat of a full snap count. I could easily see Joe taking the win this week. So that's what I'm going to go with. I don't like how you have Michael Carter in as your flex, but yeah, you're starting him over Chuba, Hubbard, whatever. So still going to go with you. Yeah, just going to go with you. John, I think you're going to lose. Yeah, Joe, this will be a close one, though. Definitely will be a close one just because both teams have, players that I don't like. So they might have big games, and I'll just not seeing it coming. So that's what I'm going to go. I'm going to go with Joe right now just because I think Tom Brady has a welcome back game because he looked not that good against the Pats. Pats defense played well all game. Dalvin Cook should return to more of a snap count. And, that's just basically what I think it's coming down to. Joe, I'm going to go by 7.5. Call it there. 7.5. That's what I'm going with. Jess versus Raffy. Again, this one I think is going to be a pretty easy game for Raffy to win. Najee Harris, again, I don't know what he had for targets last week, but 2 weeks ago, the dude had 19 targets as a running back. Just stupid. David Montgomery out for a few weeks for you, so that hurts, your overall depth. But, you got Kareem Hunt in there as RB2 right now, and you don't have another running back, but still, that is fine. You got if Harris keeps getting balls thrown his way, then he's going to continue getting, catches there, and that's just huge. Jess has Joe Mixon in right now. Without saying too much because I don't know if he's playing, and she doesn't have a backup running. No, Devin Singletary in her flex. Again, that's pretty weak. So, easy one here, Raffy, and I'm going to go by 16. Let's do it. Raffy by 16. That is probably the biggest spread I've ever given. ESPN has it at 29 right now, but that's, again, that's before any bench players are started. That should be. Next matchup, Matt versus Stevens. Two good friends, based on overall chit chat in the leagues over the past years. And again, this is also before any kind of matchup changes. Bench players are put in over starters, but based on who's questionable and dinged up or out for Stevens, I think Matt should have himself not an easy win this week, but he should be able to get this one done a little bit on the easy side. So I'm going to go Matt by 10, just because Stevens, your team is just is hurting right now. I like your team when they're all healthy. I really like your team, but they're not healthy. You got 6 questionables, 1 out, Michael Thomas still for another couple weeks, but still that hurts. Your 2 starting running backs, as of right now, are questionable. Your bench running back, which is the number 1 overall pick, Christian McCaffrey, is questionable. But again, even if he plays, they should limit him. So who knows? Who knows? And then matchup of the week, I threw myself in there. The 2 Michaels, if you really want to go by it. Mickey versus me, Mickey versus Mike, D's versus Miller time, whatever you want to call it. This has huge implications, I think. This is a must-win for Mickey, not necessarily a must-win for me. And because, yeah, if you fall to 1-4, and again, on paper you had what I put as the best team, like if your wide receivers are DeAndre Hopkins, Cooper Kupp, Calvin Ridley, you've got Tyler Boyd as your number 4 on your bench, like you shouldn't be losing. You got Kamara and Allen. That should basically be all that you need. But somehow you find yourself at 1-3 going up against me. Only thing you've got really going for you this week is that I don't necessarily like my matchups for some of my bigger players. So, yeah, I think Tyreek Hill could have another big game. Justin Jefferson could have another big game. Tyreek Hill, I think they try to bottle up. I think they're just going to, drop 2 safeties and kind of cover the over-the-head passes. This will probably be a game that I think Travis Kelce gets a huge game instead of Tyreek Hill. Flip-flop of last week. Again, now I'm at 21.5 minutes, and it's 7:51. I should probably start working. So screw me. Sorry, it's another long video. This is the matchup of the week, though, and I'm going against myself. I think Mickey wins the game that he needs to win. And I honestly, just because I don't like some of my players' matchups and both of my running backs being a little dinged up, Saquon and Josh Jacobs, again, I don't like both. You could start Damian Harris possibly over Kenyon Drake, but if Kenyon Drake gets the starting job over Jacobs this week because of a possible injury lingering still for Jacobs, then that would do you well. So I'm still going to go by Mickey, and, ESPN has it at 6. I'm going to give you a little bit more cushion here. I'm going Mickey by 9. Matchup of the week. So closest game I have is actually Joe winning by 7.5. That's pretty sad. Usually I put a couple in here like 3, 4, 5, whatever. I think, based on the matchups and who people are playing, it's not going to be that many close games. Not like last week. Last week there were a few close games. There were 3 teams at over 160 points. I'd say that might be a, first time of the season at least, 3 teams getting that many points. But again, I think that's all I had. That's all I wrote down on this piece of paper. Yeah, that's all I got. All right, so have a good rest of the day, everybody. Get after it. Picks for the week, I took Tampa Bay. I had one of my picks in my Survivor League get knocked out. I took Tennessee in one of them, so that was unfortunate. But the Jets still suck. I don't care. Hate them. So I got New England with 1 pick, and I took Tampa Bay with the other. 2 biggest favorites of the week. So let's keep it up. Good luck, everybody. See ya.